welcome to Let's Talk Diz, a show that gives you everything you need to know to help make your Disney vacation as magical as can be in just about 20 minutes. I'm your host, Jeff Coviello. With me each week is Disney Master Sandy from Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services. Sandy, how you doing this week?
I am pretty tired, Jeff.
Well, that's because you are jet setting. You are on the West Coast this week, and I'm excited to talk to you on the West Coast. You're there right now.
I'm here right now. I've talked about Disneyland before. You all know that it is definitely a love of mine. But I tried to squeeze a lot in. You think you're invincible. I had that 6 a.m. flight out of good old Newark Airport, and I stayed through fireworks last night that were 11 o'clock California time. So
listen,
it makes for a little bit of a long day.
Listen, Newark's getting a bad rap these days, but we're still holding strong over here in New Jersey.
I got off on time. I landed 13 minutes early.
Look at that. See?
I can't complain.
There you go. All right. So listen, you're there because it's the 70th anniversary of Disneyland. So we're going to talk kind of all about it. So let's start where it all began with Disneyland.
So there is just so much here. And to give you an idea, I know I've talked about this before, and I don't know, maybe I'm not convincing here on the podcast because somehow, Jeff, you still haven't made it west. I happen to love the shows. I've talked about that a lot. And it always blows my mind that there are 2 parks in Disneyland versus our 4 parks in Walt Disney World.
Correct.
And they have 8 nighttime shows between the 2 parks.
That's a lot.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's a lot.
They have 2 in Batu alone. I don't know why we have 0 on the East Coast.
Well, they're testing them out in California. They're getting them ready for the East Coast.
Star Wars shows are not new for the 70th, but I did check them out last night. But we'll talk first, as you said, about Disneyland. And again, it is kind of one of those points of confusion for people. There is no Magic Kingdom here, even though there is that park with a castle in the middle.
Right.
So we have Disneyland Resort, which refers to the parks, Downtown Disney and the hotels. And then Disneyland Park, which is the original park and the Magic Kingdom equivalent.
Right.
So here's what they've got for the 70th.
Okay.
And they brought one of my favorite parades back, Paint the Night. And they've added some additional floats to it and done some extra magic, of course. Paint the Night began back in 2015. It was in Hong Kong when it opened. Then it came to Disneyland Park for a very brief stint. I saw it back in 2018 in California Adventure. And now for the 70th, it is back in Disneyland. And I have to say, just switching it from one park to the other makes it really different. But the effects on this are incredible. So I am obviously an Electric Light Parade fan. I've talked about that. I am desperately waiting for the new summer nighttime parade at Walt Disney World. But Paint the Night is magical. It's got the special effects. It's got the light up. It's got a lot of the Pixar in it. It is a must-see parade. And again, I will say with all of the parades and fireworks, even with having that many shows in a night, there are some nights that the fireworks shows don't happen per their agreement with the local city of Anaheim because of how close they are to certain residents. But there are also nights where shows happen 2 times or 3 times. The later you can go, the less crowded it's going to be. So keep that in mind. I did the later Paint the Night, and it was much easier to get a great spot without a big wait.
So you mentioned fireworks. No, the next show that you want to talk about has fireworks.
It does. It's Wondrous Journeys, which has been around for a little bit. They tweaked it. It is their show on the castle, over the castle, and they've added fireworks. So 13 minutes of spectacular celebration of Disney animation. So you can definitely, it's got projections going down the street, lots to see. And again, plot out your night carefully. I was able to hit 4 shows last night.
Wow.
all in the same night. You can definitely, if you're quick and moving from spot to spot, they are staggered just a little bit to be able to take in several of them.
Nice. Okay, what else?
Tapestry of Happiness. I loved that. I'm going to be putting up a video hopefully tomorrow for all of you to see. It's a show, it's a projection show on It's a Small World. It happens about 6 times a night if they're open full hours. And again, the theme behind the 70th is all about happiness and together and joy. And they bring it to you in so many ways that you can't help but smile. This show is no exception. A lot, again, bringing Pixar characters, classic Disney, and wrapping it all up with Walt and Mickey holding hands and Walt talking to all of us.
Now,
it's got to get you.
So my question to you is, like, because we've talked now about like a bunch of projections, and I know when we've talked about things like Fantasmic on the West Coast, like the economy of size is not in their favor, right? So these projections on things like It's a Small World, is that because of just the lack of available space to do something like this? So they're just maximizing the space? Is that how you think it's arrived at where we've landed?
You know, I think they have so much that they want to keep delivering out here. Again, it's a very different kind of park. Because it's in the middle of a city and because it is smaller, it doesn't have that week-long vacation like Walt Disney World has. You know, I'll say to people, 3 days is great out here. You'll get everything in. You'll still want to come back, but you won't feel like, oh my God, I didn't get to so many things. I think they just have so many things they want to share and so many things to keep bringing in more drive time kind of traffic. Because frankly, they don't need 7 nighttime shows in one park. They don't need to project a show onto Small World. They could live without it. It was awesome. But I can't figure out what drives them to just put on so much entertainment. You know, the great thing about a projection show like that, it takes an incredible amount of creative. But then the execution, whether they show it 1 time as a special thing or 6 times a night or 6 times a night for 6 months, it's not a costly thing. It's not like fireworks and confetti cannons and all of these things. It's about light bulbs. So I think that's why they keep showing them. And again, one of the nice things about it being small, if you pick your spots carefully, although I saw 4 shows last night, I only moved once. I was able to see both Star Wars, the projection show, and the fireworks show, sitting in the exact same spot, reading my book for 45 minutes in between. And then I was able to see Tapestry of Happiness in the exact same spot as I saw Paint the Night. Now, not every spot has that double view.
Sure.
Pick your spots carefully and you get it all.
Well, that's why you're the master. That's why you're the master, because you've scattered that out. But all right, so where do we go from there?
During the day, they don't have a true parade. They have a cavalcade like we saw during COVID. It's a real short one, I'll be honest, but they put new upbeat music to it and lots of characters. Again, fitting right in with the theme. The Celebrate Happy Cavalcade. I know on the show we tease often that they come up with these long and convoluted names. This one, they just went real simple. Celebrate Happy Cavalcade.
Yeah, right. That's the shortest one they have, I think.
Yeah. It's about a 6-minute thing. It's not long, but again, great new music. It shows off the new 70th anniversary outfits for the Fab Five, nice. But it also brings us all the princesses, Genie, Miguel, Peter Pan, lots of great stuff in this one.
Awesome. All right. So what else?
This one is kind of billed on the list of things for the 70th, but I think it fits more into the celebration theme because otherwise I can't tell you how it fits into the 70th
to the 70th
theme.
Itself. Okay.
It's a Small World out here is very unique, and I think I may have touched on it before in a show, that when they announced that they were putting characters into it, I was very anti this change. And then when I saw it, they did it so seamlessly that I love it, and I don't know why they haven't brought it to the East Coast or anywhere else around the world. And so to celebrate the 70th, even though they're clearly nowhere near 70 years old, they added Dante and Miguel into the Mexico scene of It's a Small World right before we get to the Caballeros. And I've got some great video that we'll put up on our YouTube channel, a bunch of reels of finding some of those characters, because it is a lot of fun.
Nice.
It makes me happy. Did I do that well?
Sure. Yeah, that works. All right. So then let's segue over to California Adventure, where I know they had some other stuff there that you want to talk about.
Again, they've modified some things so that they're able to keep that same framework. I think it's also how they can put out so much stuff is it's got new small twists, but it doesn't have, the creative behind it of whole new shows. So World of Color, Happiness, again, big name there. I've talked about World of Color before. It is a water cannon show and a small bit of projection right onto the Incredicoaster. So a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I will say, if I wasn't hanging out in the park, I am staying at Pixar Place, which I'll put a link of the review I did when they renamed it and reopened it last year.
Right.
I have a theme park view room. I can look from my room and not be in the crowd into California Adventure, see about 90% of the World of Color show, and turn my TV on to the right channel and hear all the music.
That's awesome.
So those of you looking, to do it with young kids, or again, it's a show that happens typically 2 times a night, catch it once in the park, once out here. But this one, I think is unique, knowing what's going on the East Coast, how we have just said goodbye to the Muppets. It's interesting to me that they opted to open this show with Kermit and the Muppets.
Huh.
So they give us our safety demo, talk to us about how to get things going. And then the show focuses on the characters from Inside Out. And again, just the little things sometimes make a difference. I will say, while it's similar to those of you that are Epcot fans or have been in Epcot regularly, you can watch their nighttime show from anywhere in the lagoon and you just kind of show up. Here, because everybody gravitates to this show, you do need to be on a dining package or hop into the virtual queue, because 95% of the space to view this show, if it's not from your own hotel room, is by virtual queue only.
Huh.
So grab a virtual queue, get your spot. But while you're looking at the virtual queue or signs all around the lagoon during the day, they're having you vote for your favorite Inside Out character that you'd like to open the show tonight. So not every show is going to be identical.
Oh, that's cool.
Depending who wins the fan favorite vote for the day.
That's cool.
So
I like that.
I love getting to pick.
Yeah, that's a nice little fun little feature. That's cool. All right, what else?
So unique for that show that we've never seen before, besides the big water cannons. So again, if you're up front, you may want to have ponchos. They've added bubble cannons into the show.
just so we need bubble cannons.
Just so we have a little bit of extra happiness.
Yes, talk about happiness.
Yes.
It's like my wife's nightmare, but more bubbles in cannons. That's perfect.
More bubbles. They also have a daytime parade here, and it does happen several times a day. You can see, maybe it's because it's California, the home of entertainment and theater. They do a lot out here with all of their performers, which is wonderful. They have a new parade, Better Together, a Pixar celebration.
Okay.
And that one obviously brings us all of our favorite Pixar pals. Lots of great music, a custom written score, and it's pretty easy to get a spot for this since it happens multiple times, nice and shady. And in between each little float, they have dancers who really interact with the kids on the sidelines and add an extra element of fun to the parade.
That's awesome. Okay. I think we got one more in California Adventure, right?
We do. This one I couldn't quite figure out, so I definitely had to try it for myself.
Okay.
Toy Story Midway Mania goes 70. Again, it's not 70 years old.
No,
however,
I was going to feel very old very quickly with that one.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm not that old, but go ahead.
What they did is they changed up the screens. They've added decals throughout the attraction, the number 70 in their silver, pink, and purple combo, and their Celebrate Happiness little logo. And they changed some of the scores. So a popular score that you can get now is 70 or 700. And at the end of the ride, all scores end in a 70.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Okay, so
just a little kitschy, but
little
cute.
tweak. Yeah, I like that. My son would get a kick out of that. All right, so where do we go from there once we've left Disneyland Park proper in California Adventure? What else do we want to talk about this 70th anniversary?
We head to Downtown Disney, which again is still called Downtown Disney. For those of you saying it's now Disney Springs, it is not.
Nope, not on the West Coast.
It stays Downtown Disney. And again, because of the small location, the small footprint of Disneyland, Downtown Disney actually runs kind of on a thin strip in between the two parks. And it is extremely popular for locals because you can eat there, you can shop there, but they also do, kind of like we see on the East Coast, this past year, I talked about some of the transformation. They put in a bandstand and a huge lawn, and I am just watching all of these families with little kids dancing and jumping around, and you pay to park, and that's it. Free entertainment.
Yeah.
And if you stroll the length of Downtown Disney, they put in all these great photo ops, these 70th anniversary signs, and they each have different sets of characters with them. So while things like The Lion King and Frozen are not 70 years old, you'll find a Lion King set up in a Frozen one and a Finding Nemo. So you can kind of go around, snap some photos, and have a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay. What about I know this is a big thing for you, and I'm sure there's just so few options there. What about the merchandise specific to the 70th?
Holy merchandise, Batman.
Really? There are some merchandise items there? I'm shocked.
You know, there is no shortage of merchandise for the 70th.
Yeah.
Whether you want a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a Spirit jersey, a photo album, 9,000 different pairs of ears, interactive bubble wands, towels, candles. I don't think there's anything you could name that there isn't a 70th option for.
Sure.
One of the unique items, I mean, we all know that there's always going to be clothing. And some new dresses and men's button-up shirts. I mean, this is probably the biggest clothing line I've ever seen for any celebration.
Okay, that's
and a lot that has found its way into my suitcase. The one thing I didn't buy, I will be very honest, that I kind of hemmed and hawed over this, and I probably would have bought it if it cost half of what it did. They're selling a key to Disney. And it is a big letter D at the end, like the part of the key that you would hold.
Yeah.
And it lights up. And throughout the park, there are 10 different stops. And you put your key in, and each stop relates to a land and an attraction. And your key lights up and shows a little icon that you collected, the Tomorrowland one or the Fantasyland one. Bubbles is also a happiness theme. It blows bubbles at you, all kinds of little fun. And when you get to the very end and you insert your key to show that you've done all 10 stops, you leave with a special pin that cannot be purchased. It can only be done by getting this special key and collecting all the stops.
Huh.
You can definitely use your light up key. I was seeing people with it with Paint the Night. It's one of those light up and changeable items, but it is $60. It's a great souvenir. I think minus the pin, maybe the pin goes to mom and dad. For littles, it's a lot of fun if they're not doing a lot of the big rides to find those stops and let them have the bubbles and the fun. Maybe it's what you do while you child swap for different rides.
That's fun. Nice and interactive. All right, so
definitely is.
You and I have talked a lot about how there's different food offerings for different things. So what was one of the things that really kind of struck your fancy here on the 70th?
So I'll be honest, there wasn't a lot. There was a lot of offerings, but not many that struck my fancy. There were cupcakes with a number 70 toothpick in it and different things. But again, that number 60, I don't know why it wasn't a number 70. $60 seems to be their favorite. Yikes. There is now, I know we're all missing this in our life, a talking Mickey popcorn bucket.
Ah, yes, I need that.
They've been
what
very
does it
generous.
Say? What does it say? Film
You
me?
can stop at any of the stands. They'll let you play with it for a minute. You can hear some of its phrases. I did get the regular shape 70th popcorn bucket. I have vowed mostly not to bring another popcorn bucket period into my house, but definitely not to bring a special shape. And so I kind of cheated by buying this 70th one because it's cute and I love the color scheme, but at least it'll stack with the others. The talking Mickey, I got a photo for all of you and I will keep the photo as my memory and the extra $60 in my wallet.
That's a good call. That's a very good call. I can't imagine that'd be something I'd come home with, but I understand there'll be plenty of people that did. So I guess the question I have for you, like, is the celebration complete? Like, is this everything that they're going to have, or do we expect different things to roll out? Where do we fall?
I think we never know what else is rolling out. You know, things come at any point, but we do know that there is one thing still to come. And that is that they are doing a makeover on when you walk into Disneyland Park, the first thing on the right in that theater, a makeover on the Walt Disney A Magical Life story. Okay. And that's going to premiere July 17th with the very first Walt animatronic.
Oh, nice. Okay, so they're waiting to roll that out with the audio animatronic.
Correct. That'll come out in July. And again, like most celebrations, this one is going to run, we don't have an exact ending date, but it's going to run about 15 months. It's going to run through that summer 2026. So I hope you all find your way out here. Again, I love Disneyland as a whole, but all of these extras, especially the nighttime shows, make it so worthwhile. One of the other things that I did not talk about tonight, because I want to save it for another show, they have 2 special tours for the 70th birthday. And if you're a big Disney fan, which you probably are if you're listening.
If you're listening here, yes, I would imagine.
You need to do both of them. One is all about the 70th anniversary and the building of Disneyland, and the other is all about the history of the trains.
Oh, nice.
But the highlight for me that I finally, after many, many years, have crossed off of my Disney bucket list is the opportunity to ride in the Lily Bell train car.
Oh, cool.
So very cool. Just amazing. We'll cover the tour in more detail because I don't want to give it just the 30 seconds we have left tonight. So stay tuned for that. The tours do book 60 days in advance. So if you're thinking of it, now is a great time. And fall is a great time to be in California. The other thing to think about if you're trying to figure out when am I coming to this celebration, think about what do you want to do. They have the Oogie Boogie Bash for Halloween. There are much fewer dates than we have in Walt Disney World. It is a more adult type theme, a lot of fun. They do have a Christmas party, and there's nowhere more magical than Disneyland for the holidays. So that is an option. But if you're headed to Walt Disney World in the fall because you're a food and wine lover, They just wrapped up their Food and Wine Festival. So if you come out here next spring, March and April, you'll be able to catch the 70th anniversary and the Food and Wine Festival. And if you've listened to previous shows, you know I love the festivals because you can order at one booth and pick up all of your food all day long. But also the weather out here for the festival is awesome. You can just sit outside, have some downtime, and really enjoy all of your treats. So start planning for the 70th. You're not going to want to miss it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's been a long couple days for you. You got to experience all this stuff. Hopefully after we wrap here today, you get a chance to go back and just kind of leisurely walk through those parks.
I will leisurely walk through the parks, and then I will very quickly stop home because next week I will be coming to you from Walt Disney World as we bring you information on the 2 new openings in Hollywood Studios with the new Little Mermaid show and the new Villain show. So
Love it.
Summer is kicking off to be an incredible time to be a Disney fan.
Love it. You're going to get that coast-to-coast medal. I appreciate it.
There we go.
Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
You as well.
And that's a wrap this week on Let's Talk Diz. If anyone you know could benefit from this or any show, please share, have them like and subscribe. And don't forget to reach out to the folks at Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services for any Disney destination planning. Make it a great week. And as always, keep making memories.